Right, and we're back for another episode of Creative Retrospective. And my guest for this episode is it's gonna be interesting how I get into this one. So obviously, if you watch ITV Football, he's on the IGs and stuff like that. You might have seen him. He's like, oh, who's that guy with the do-rag on and covering his hair? That's a bit anti-UK of him. But we got Banks here. He's 1/4 of the final third. He's a host, commentator, content creator of all things sports, not just football. But where I want to start off with you, right? So when I think I saw you about a month ago, right? And obviously I met you through Derrick, Ricky, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Like I've met a lot of people that are like Derrick's friends, obviously. If people who know the Vinyl Collective, I was on the Untitled podcast, worked quite closely with those guys as well, CJ, all the guys there. So I've been very aware of what they've been doing for a long time. So obviously, as some people may know, Ricky's kind of going on to moving on to do stand-up and stuff like that, right? So I've been to a couple of shows. This is the second show I went to. And then he does a shout out. He's like, oh, shout out to my brother. I thought he'd been, oh, like my brother, like my friend. He's like, oh, it's my actual brother. I was like, what? How have I not known that the whole fucking time? Like, what the hell? So the question I'm going to ask you of that, yeah, is because when we said it, I was like, it kind of started to make sense, right? Because I feel like you're both into sport, but you're both quite comedic at the same time. It's just different varying levels, right? So obviously he's a comedian, but he wears the Arsenal shirt, right? And obviously you're someone who's having the football commentary, but you like to throw a joke in, like, what's your favorite restaurant or whatever, the stuff like that. Do you feel like that there's that going on? Was that intentional? Like, talk to me about it.
I don't know. Like, I do think like growing up with Derrick, like he's a year older than me. Like,
Mm.
I do feel like we just naturally bounced off each other, and like I definitely got some of my like. It's weird to say I got some of my humor, like just naturally being able to incorporate like the fun and humor side into my sport. Like that's Derrick's help that just from like just growing up together and just that natural banter. So yeah, I don't know, like. I don't know, like, yeah, when it does come as a surprise to people, like them hearing it's my brother, and then they do get that. Yeah, no, it does kind of make sense. Like
Yeah.
once people look at us for a couple of seconds, like, yeah, I didn't see it first, I kind of see it now. So yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
do get that from time to
Yeah.
time.
And it's crazy because obviously I've been aware of your work for like at least 2 to 3 years. So I know you guys would post each other. So I was like, okay, no, I have to kind of put it all together. It's like, yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes
Shout
sense.
out there, he posts my stuff up all the time. So like, yeah,
Mm.
like all the time. If
No,
you see my, a lot of people are seeing it through Ricky.
I was gonna say, following from that, because more recently is when he started to kind of like take stand up a bit more seriously, do a lot of shows, been up and down the country, right? Do you feel like obviously we're starting you at the kind of where you are now, but looking back, do you feel like kind of the way you've kind of pursued your career in sport, do you think that's kind of inspired him to be like, oh fuck it, like I'm gonna go chase my dreams too, like I'm gonna go do it, like
Honestly, it might be the other way around. I think I've helped him on the social media side
right,
because
okay,
the work I do now, a lot of it is very social media based. So I think I might have inspired him to like start putting more stuff on social media and making sure he's being seen that way because there used to be able to like used to do so much stuff in the like comedy world, but you wouldn't necessarily see it because like he never really post or like he was like he'd be very selective about what he posts.
right,
But
right,
in terms of like inspiring me to go out there, like Derrick was definitely one that's always pushed me to like go and put myself in that space a lot and like go and sort of be the best version of myself in that space. Like definitely like yeah, hyping me up or like yeah, continuously pushing me to like yeah, not slack or like try and go for every opportunity available. So in terms of
100%.
actually like pushing me and inspiring me, I would say it's the other way around. But in a social media sense and actually making it visible, I think I might have inspired him to like yeah put more stuff up and just be more visible because that's the like more time that's the name of the game. Like
Yeah, for
as
sure.
much as you just want to be able to like your work to speak for itself. Unfortunately, it's not the case nowadays. Like if you can promo yourself and put yourself out there, you're doing half the job yourself, and you're like not half the job. It's pretty much 100% of the job because
Yeah.
honestly, no one's coming to save you when you're creative. Like if you can't push your own stuff and can't like yeah like make people want to watch your own stuff, it's hard to like get people to do it for you. So it's like one of those things where you have, if you want to like progress and you want more people to see your stuff, you've got to be the one to instigate that.
No, for sure. Especially in a post-COVID. I feel like, especially when like again the content creation boom was insane post COVID. Like no, it was a little bit before because I've been making content in some capacity since like 2016, right? But from 2021 onwards, if you're not someone who's kind of constantly being
Yeah,
internet savvy, and I can kind of get it as well. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered to post, but then people are just gonna forget, right? It's the same reason why you have like McDonald's and Coca-Cola. They spend the most on marketing, even though they're the biggest brands. So you had always had to be at the top of people's minds. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But but yeah, so let's start. Let's go. I'm gonna go all the way back. This is kind of slightly before you even start to get into football, right?
yeah,
Because I always like to know, okay, where did kind of people kind of get that inspiration from? Obviously, of course, big fan of football and things like that. But what's quite interesting about your background, because you seem quite good with people, but like in general, so I was like, okay, looking back, you actually used to work at like a kind of like an escape room of sorts for quite a while before you like went on to become a become a teacher, right? So do you feel like that was an aspect that kind of like helped you in terms of moving on where like you're meeting all these like big stars and like you're not too kind of nervous because obviously you have to deal with people every day in that sense.
yeah. No, definitely. My work. It's weird because I never took that escape route. That was literally during uni trying to get some bread in my
Of
pocket.
course, yeah.
Back then, man. Um, I was literally just trying to get some, but again, it's one of those like it is a very social job. It is like people coming in like different vibes. Sometimes you got like the stag do, hen do, whatever. Sometimes you
Right.
got like people trying to have a nice evening. It's different vibes, but you have to meet them where they are, and it's like yeah. I think my work experience, even like I'm sure we'll talk about like going forward as well, like working in schools and work with young people and all of that yeah, I definitely think it's helped me adapt to just like, yeah, being comfortable, making that conversation and like making people comfortable in the space that I'm at.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, we could just get to that now in terms of the teaching because I think yeah, you started teaching right not too long after you went to uni, right? And I think it was about a year or so. Oh, well, after I think whilst you're at uni is when you started the Banks Talks football blog post. And then it's weird because I think this is the time where WordPress is at an all-time high. And what's quite cool about this is that you didn't just take that I mean, I guess quite different to what the final third is when we'll get to that. You took the kind of, it felt like you were kind of looking at it from a wider point of view. You weren't trying to just talk about, oh, here's why United won or lost 2-1, right? Like you want to kind of get into the kind of bigger workings of the business or maybe racism football or even this young talent, just kind of the whole pipeline. Is that the aspect of football that excites you the most? Is it more than just, oh, you know what, people just scoring goals, people are good at football, people are bad at football?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's so many like subsections of football that the final score of a football match can never tell you. And like that's always been what I've been most interested in and what I've found like the most power to like learn more and improve myself. Like I used to be, and it's bad, I fell off a lot, but when I was younger, like the first sort of sports media I'd always take in was like long form newspaper articles. Like it
Mhm.
was always like, I would never, how do I describe this? Like I'd always like read the newspaper article on like on a player. Like I used to love
Yes.
the,
Yeah.
like a kind of deep dive into a player. And that sort of, I think learning more about players made me learn more about the game as well and about football because you understand, okay, now there's um not just the players, but the people that sign the players, what are they thinking? Like it's not just people that it's the people that talk about the players as well, the media. And it made me realize that there's certain biases, certain certain things that if I was I used to read some things and like I wouldn't like describe this player like this. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
about this player in a different light. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, the final score is one thing, but like, yeah, there's so much of a deeper subsection in football, subsections in football that like you just want to explore more and you just want to give your time to rather than like everyone loves watching the match and you see the final score, but like end of the day, final score is the final score. Like there's so much more parts of football that evolve and you can learn more and change and yeah.
No, for sure. And I guess with that blog, right, was it, I guess the question I'm trying to get to now is, was it always like, even when you were teaching, like, you're working, you were just working, right? It's kind of like, for most people, it's like, okay, I work now and, all those little side hobbies are kind of go to the side? Was it always a thing of, no, I do want to do this at some point. I do want to get into this, or was it I want to get into something, right? Because you've done a bit of acting. Well, I think it's well Unbreakable, right? You've done a bit of modeling. So was it just I want to kind of do something that's not my job, or I want to get into sports primarily?
I always knew I wanted to get into sports for sure, like
Mhm.
football for sure. Like, but in terms of how and what made like I think I started off with writing because again, like I used to love reading sports articles. So I wanted to recreate that myself and like see if I can put my own spin on it. That's why I started with writing articles for myself. Again, like literally, I remember I was in Australia at the time. I was like 2 a.m. I think I just got to Australia on my study abroad.
Mhm.
And I was like just cooking in the library. I didn't have no Wi-Fi in my house. I was just in the library trying to cook up a logo. I can't remember what website I was using. I was just there like playing around with the logo for
Yeah.
like hours and hours. And then I think it was like 8 a.m. I came up and I was like, yeah, let me decide on the logo.
Mm.
And then after that, I was just ready to just start writing. And I thought, one, like, yeah, there's nothing. That's when kind of when I realized there's nothing stopping me from starting now. Like, I made the logo, like, because you always think, well, back then I always thought kind of I have to work for like the Times or I have to work for
Right. Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
Telegraph or has to be something like that before I can start writing. But you get inspiration and there's like so many people along the journey that I have to shout out for like giving me the inspiration to like go off and like realize I don't need to wait for people to like get started. Like Touchline Fracas is probably one of the biggest ones where
Yes. Yeah.
I used to listen to them a lot, and I was just like, you'd hear South London, you'd hear London man them that sound like you chatting football,
Yeah.
and like sometimes they'd have stinker opinions, sometimes they have great opinions,
Yeah.
but it's like I never heard nothing like that. Like you always heard the white people that
Hmm.
uh, could have stink opinions, have good opinions, that but you never really heard the man them from where we're from,
Of
like have
course.
that
Yeah.
platform. So hearing them made me realize like of course I can do my own thing. Of course I can like have that, and that kind of like leads into how the final third came about as well. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, once I decided I can do this, like I can literally write for myself, literally
Mhm.
about like, doing it, putting it out, and yeah, learning to deal with that low number of views. Like, are
Mhm.
people got like that anxiety? I'm
Mhm.
happy I dealt with that back then. So like now, it
Mhm.
doesn't it doesn't affect me as much. Like,
Of course.
yeah, back then it could have like it was always a thing of like, oh, people gonna read it, da, 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 like, oh, what's the point if no one's like that? But now I understand the power and just like creating, putting it out there and letting the world have it rather than just like keeping it locked up.
No, for sure. I can definitely agree with that. So like when I first started writing, it wasn't even that targeted. I think I was just kind of giving like I mean it's a uni thing, right? I was giving like my philosophical thoughts, right? And stuff like that. And at the time I was so precious about, oh, how long should it be? Oh, do I need to hit all the points? Because like you, I was kind of seeing it like a news article, right? 'Cause that's the only kind of form of like non-novel reading that I was doing, right? But then you get older, and then again, I was so precious that like, okay, it needs to get this amount of views, or if I'm not constantly going up, then something's going wrong, right? But then, well, I think
Yeah.
what helped with that, and especially even today, just in life, it's like when you're doing the reps, when you're shit, because your first kind of maybe 10, maybe 50 kind of works you do, they're not gonna be what you think it is until you look
I
back.
get
It's never gonna
so
be that.
I
Yeah.
get so cringe when I go back and watch like early tier three. Like people tell me it's amazing, and yeah, I just get so cringe when it's just like I remember the first time I did tier three, I tried to introduce myself. I didn't know whether to go with like Banks or Grant, and I was just there kind of
Yeah.
you're still trying to figure yourself out there. So it's like, yeah, I get what you mean
Exactly,
still.
that's the thing because you haven't even developed the brand yet, right? You're just kind of like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm the person who does this thing, but why? Okay, you haven't figured out why do I want people to come to me instead of the next person, right?
yeah,
Because especially with writing, I don't know if you have this as well, but especially with writing, when you look at other people's writing, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I make content in general. Maybe not now, but what got me started was I look at other people's stuff. I'm like, but they're not good as me. How are people reading all of that shit? Like, I could do that easy, or they're just giving these like really basic analysis of like maybe a player or an artist or whatever it is. I'm like, mate, I can do that in like 10 minutes. But I mean, what I
Yeah,
realized was in terms of the persona and entertainment value, yeah, like even if people say, oh yeah, I want complete breakdown of like a heat map of the player doing this, they don't really want that. They say they want that, but when it comes to entertainment, like they remember because you're Banks, right? And he might say something cheeky in the interview, you might make someone like that's why they come to you, not necessarily because oh he really broke down well how the defense was broken down by the front. No, they don't care about that. I think that's the thing that with writing, it took me so long to kind of understand. It's like it's about entertainment, not about trying to hit every point or not trying to be super accurate or
yeah.
precise, right? So yeah, for
It's
sure.
literally
Yeah.
that's the because you want to be like the like when you start you want to be like the intellect the
Yes,
introspective
exactly.
like
Exactly.
but you lose your swag of it like you forget to put your when you try and act like them and you try and like oh, I need to replicate in this style like once you realize you can put your own twist on it your own vibe on it like that's when your deep people are coming to you to read this for you rather than just
Yes.
like
Mhm.
putting it out there expecting people to want this.
Exactly. And then that kind of leads nicely into TF3. So I think as of June, it will be, I think, 7 years since TF3
Yeah,
started, right? So June 10th or so. And what's funny about this, and I didn't notice at the time, I've known of TF3 for the long time because I know Shemi. Don't know Julie well, so people don't know it was CJ, Shemi, Julie, and yourself. But you didn't initially start on the final third. You weren't the initial member, which is quite surprising to see. I think you came on at like episode 15 or so or something like that. And again, when you're talking about introducing yourself, I can't remember what you guys were talking about. I made a note of it. I think it was I mean, oh, gosh, where was it? Yeah, you're talking about your predictions for the 18-19 season, right? So I was like, okay, interesting. Like I would have thought, like now looking back, it's like, of course Banks is on it. Like what like is Banks, right? How can you not have TF3 without him? But why did you initially kind of either put yourself out for it or like what was the kind of conversation to bring you in? Like, okay, you know what, you're because you were a guest. It wasn't like, oh, we had Banks, like you were a guest, and then you just kind of stayed, like like someone who comes to your house, right? So explain that.
this days of your uncle that moves in and never
Mhm.
moves out.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I was in Australia. I was in Australia at the time, innit? So
Oh, right. Okay.
Me and Shem went to the same uni. I like, yeah, uh, going back to what I was saying earlier, like we used to watch, I'm listening to Touchline Fracas all the time.
Mm.
And like like, as soon as me and Shem linked up, it was always talking football, debating football. Um, so yeah, like it was always in our thoughts. We used to always like, why can't we like generally we used to this was maybe 2017. So before the final third was born, we used to like always like, why can't we do it? We used to listen to stuff like Frackers, like, why can't we do this? But I guess back then, like again, we never really thought of the infrastructure. We never thought of like what we actually need to do to like to make it happen. But obviously Chim and Shemi, like when I went to do my study abroad the next year, that's when they like came together and thought, like, let's actually look at the infrastructure. Let's actually look at what we can do to put like take it forward. So yeah, the first episode, I think first episode was happening during like the World Cup.
Yes. Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, World Cup was happening, slapping off. Everyone was getting their hot takes off. And then yeah, I came back, I think July after the World Cup was done. And yeah, like as soon as they said as soon as I think Shem or Chim, I can't remember who shouted at me, but like they want you to come on for the episode. I was like, naturally, scared, like a bit scared. I can't like a bit scared
Mhm.
because I knew the moment was coming, but
Right.
also like yeah, like when it's actually here, it's like oh shit, like
Was it like your first time being behind camera and like it's uploaded somewhere and everyone's gonna see it? Was it that
yeah.
kind of your first bit?
We had a funny enough, Untitled Podcast had a like one-off. I still don't understand why we did. We had a one-off football episode,
Oh,
which is like
yeah. Okay.
we buried the takes that were on that episode. We had to bury it. They had to bury it. That one you'll hear that one. Uh,
Okay.
we had a one-off football episode. So that was actually the first time I took, but that was even just podcast. Like it wasn't really
Right.
camera.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
that was essentially like the first time I'd been on camera to talk about football.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was one of those moments where it was like, I know it's happening, like I know I can do this, but it's like, oh shit, now it's actually time to do it. And yeah, you get those nerves and you get those like, oh shit. But then after a while, it's like literally just talking football with like
Mm.
obviously I didn't know Julie at the time, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
and that one was pretty natural as well. Like
Mhm.
talking football with Chim. Chim, Shemi, and then Julie is just like it became so like
Mhm.
orthodox back, so natural. It's just like yeah, it was like
Yeah, the
just
chemistry's the same. It almost feels like you guys know each other for a long time. Even if you hadn't, it just felt like that way. Like it kind of like the bands are like no one's kind of afraid to kind of like be a bit mean, all that stuff. Yeah, it was a nice kind of dynamic. Yeah.
yeah, nah, for sure. Like honestly, yeah, I feel like when all of us just talk football, it was just yeah, everyone just got there, and I think we all recognized like we ain't here for like we weren't there for the in-depth like tactical breakdown as we was talking about before. Like it was literally in our the first episode was in the cameraman's living room, I think. Cameraman's living room. And it was a homey vibe, and it was just like we're here for the like we're literally here to vibe it out. We're here to do hot takes that we say on camera. Now it's time to put it on camera, put it on wax, like make
Mhm.
sure you stand on your shit. And
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, like it was so natural.
Yeah.
Like
What was funny about that episode as well, guy? I was listening back to it, and I think you guys were giving me like your top five to kind of win the league, and like, everyone got the top five correct. It was kind of weird. I was like, yeah, City's gonna win it, and I think Chim was fighting for Liverpool to be second. And he didn't back himself. I don't see. You know
nah.
what I mean?
Back
It's kind of
then,
funny how that season went.
back then I would like shit on Liverpool just for like I don't care how bad United were like on my
Yeah.
Liverpool in my head, Liverpool weren't finishing
Mhm.
above United. I don't care what's
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah.
You lot, every single player you signed was shit, even though
Yeah.
you signed Allison that season. Like
Yeah.
I don't think of a damn. Like I was back then, the hatred in my heart was still burned pure. The
Mhm.
hatred in my heart burns, but not as pure no more because we're crap, and it's like you can't keep getting beaten and like have
Yeah.
this fire.
Yeah,
But
it's not really much of a rivalry when it's like someone's like 17th and everyone's like winning the
there's
title, right?
like nowadays it's just like you know what, but it's still fuck Liverpool, but
Mhm.
like now it's like it's lower now. Like I've been punched enough to know that guy that gets punched up and he still wants to chat a little bit of
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Oh fuck you, let's chat it off. But he's doing it mad quietly, so the
Yeah.
guy can't hear him.
So I
Like,
was like, what did you say? Yeah,
"Yeah,
some
what?
shit.
I ain't even talking to you, man. Like, man, just involve yourself, man.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how it is nowadays, man.
no, it's funny because yeah, I agree in the sense that you guys weren't trying to like cover it like I don't know the final score, right? But you guys were at a point where you were covering every single game week, which is
Yeah.
kind of insane. Like I want to understand like what was the thing of like you guys wanted to become like you know what at the end of the match week we go to the final third. Did you guys want to kind of become that, or was it kind of just like of I guess the grace of time during COVID and stuff like that? Was that kind of like oh we might as well just do this every week?
No, it was always the plan to like make the final third as big as it could be and like cover the Premier League, we got into European like covering European football later on, but definitely Premier League. We wanted it to be yeah, like cover the matches, be there, as you said, be the place that people come to for that
Mhm.
reaction, for that like um at the end of the weekend once the games have been played, what do the final third have to say about this week's weekend's football? It's kind of like that. And then, but yeah, thinking of like again, talking about the COVID, like post-COVID, like the streaming, I think the streaming era just took us out. Like, I think we were just some old niggas that couldn't keep up. Bro, you see people streaming like 4 or 5 times a week. I'm like, bro, niggas ain't got
Yeah.
what? I'm
Yeah,
like,
because
what?
everyone went back to the studios and the big
Yeah,
budget. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like
That's
people.
because yeah, 'cause people could
It was
appreciate the home setups until it was like, oh, we're back out. Like, no, this doesn't
Yeah,
save
shit.
no
And then
more.
it's like, oh yeah, it was a lot, man. It was a lot. So it's
Yeah.
like, but back then, like we wanted to, and I also want to like. There's so many people I want to shout out. Like there's Peckham Reds,
Yeah.
Leonard,
Mhm.
who like back then, even 18, 19, he used to always just jump in the DMs and give us like little feedback and credit like big us up, little feedback on where we can improve. And like the final third wouldn't have got better. We wouldn't have improved if it wasn't for like people like that that um like genuinely just like yeah out for no reason like literally just jump in the DM like give a little bit of advice, give a little like and you need like I don't think you can underestimate how much that helps like creators
Of
like
course, yeah.
it lets you know people are listening, people are like actively trying to give you feedback to improve. then it's kind of just on you to like take it on and like try and improve. But yeah, it helps so much just in motivation and like yeah, wanting to continue, because you do get those like moments and those feelings like that's the early part where you're fighting the like urge to like be pissed off about the views and
Exactly.
knowing it's a journey and like you have to just continue with the journey. But like low moments like that, you definitely help in terms of like continuing on the journey. So a little bit of advice:
Yeah.
any of your creative friends, like if you're watching their stuff, it's not enough. Go and tell them like you enjoy it. Go and tell them that
Yes.
what they can improve, because I promise you they'll value that.
No, 100%. I mean, you say this, but you guys had a good run in terms of like you were interviewing like I think you were into like local league managers. I think you interviewed the
Yeah.
QPR midfielder. You was on radio. I think it was like 101.1 Niger FM or something like that. So yeah, you guys had some sort of achievements. It must be kind of weird at times. Like, okay, like we're covering football now, people actually want to talk football with us.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of crazy, right? Obviously
For
now,
sure. Like,
yeah.
yeah, for
Oh,
sure. I could never take like the final third and where we took it for granted. Like it
mhm.
was such an amazing journey, and like we literally grew up together in terms of that space. Like a lot of us met. Um, no, I can't say a lot of us. We met. Well, I met Julie like pretty much post or in my final year of uni. Obviously, I
Right,
knew
okay.
Chim for since childhood, and then Shem like pretty much since like couple years before that. So it's like, but we were still all new to this space. And we literally like there was so many like times when the camera would mess up and like we'd lose a whole day of filming, but we just have to learn from that. And then like sometimes the microphone wouldn't like all of these things that we just like you just have to go through and learn through. Like we did that together.
Mhm.
And like when we got to that stage where like we're recording on radio every week,
Yeah.
we've got people calling in, like we're doing interviews, and
Mhm.
it's just like, yeah, like we literally built this up zero subscribers
Mhm.
to like where it's at now. Like it's not,
100%.
yeah, anyone that creates knows like it's not an easy journey to like
It's a
keep.
crazy feeling because then people are actually like, especially when you have like a set time, and someone's like, "Oh, where's the episode?" or "When you guys coming on?" You're like, "Oh, I didn't even know this was like that important to you."
That's
You know what I mean? Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. When you got your like the regulars like, oh, where's the episode at? And you're like, "Oh, YouTube's like we're fighting YouTube over here, like wait, the episode to upload." Yeah, it's a great feeling when that happens. But yeah, it's honestly been such a journey.
Mhm. And again, so I'm gonna transition. So obviously this happens a lot during COVID, right? So the next kind of 3 years, so through her 3 years of the final third is like during COVID, and we're starting to come out. And you said the big budget started to come in and stuff like that. But 2021 is a quiet year for you, especially when like looking into your history, right? But then obviously 2022 is when things start to pick up. And I think the main kind of key factor for this is football beyond borders, right? Which I think you're a part of. So I wanted to kind of get, I don't know how much you kind of talked about your story, but it'd be interesting to kind of see, because you're still teaching at this point. I mean, you're going to teach for like another year before you kind of leave and be who you are now. So if we couldn't get interested, okay, how did that kind of opportunity come about in terms of working with football beyond borders?
So, all right, so let me give a bit of context. Before before COVID, I had got my first grad job. It was like one operations role.
Yeah.
I'm working for like a sales company. But obviously, like I was literally, I think 3 or 4 months into the job before probation when lockdown hit. So like, soon as they were ready to,
Ah, right. Okay.
they,
Yeah.
they cut my house off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after lockdown, it was just looking back on that period of time, it was such a like
It's a crazy
surreal,
period though.
because
You
like you're fresh out of uni. Like I was bartending and everything before I
know.
got that job.
Hmm.
Like just trying to scrape together the money and everything. I finally get that job and it's like, okay, cool, things are patterning now. Obviously that happens and you're back to square one
Hmm.
essentially.
Hmm.
So I'm just there. You know when you're on the Indeed grind, is literally quick
Yeah.
apply, quick,
Yeah.
easy apply, easy apply.
Yeah. Yeah. No cover
Um,
letter, just sending it through.
Bro, no cover letter. There's no
Yeah.
time. I'm broke right now. I need the first job that's gonna land in my in hand. The first one. So literally, I'm planning, and head teacher calls me. I genuinely forget I even applied for this job, but she calls me and she's like, um, do you want to interview for this teaching assistant role? I'm like, perfect, because like I don't think a lot of people know, but like I always thought later on in my life I was gonna I always wanted to teach, but
Okay.
I don't know how I thought my career was gonna go,
Mhm.
but I wanted to teach in my 40s. I always thought
Wow.
by that time I'm gonna be wise. I've gone through hella life
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
Like I'll be able to give back. I was on some Coach Carter shit. Like, let me come back and give
Yeah.
back to them. I thought I'd be like, but I was like, it never works like that. So it's
Yeah.
like when this teaching assistant thing
Mm,
came up, I was like, you know what? It works because I do want to
mhm, of
work in education.
course.
So like I become a teaching assistant, and yeah, it's like literally it's a after the first lockdown essentially, and like we're trying to get these kids like GCSE ready
Right.
when
Yeah. Yeah.
like they're nowhere close. They've had the most fucked up year ever.
Hmm.
They're nowhere close to GCSE.
Hmm.
GCSE ready, but it was just like I didn't have any training to be a teacher at that point, so it was literally just me being myself, trying to like help these young people, and like, I felt like I made a good connection with them, and yeah, that the school was impressed and offered me, said like, do you want to train to become a teacher? I was like, yep, sure. Like I didn't again at that point I didn't really have much of a career plan going.
Hmm.
I also did know like I enjoyed teaching, I enjoyed being a
Hmm.
teaching assistant. I was decent at maths. I was like, you know what, let me do the maths teaching thing.
Okay. Cool.
Um, so yeah, I'm teaching now, but in the back of my mind, I also know like I want to work in football and I want to work in sports. And it's like um I'm doing the maths, I'm a maths teacher, but I don't have the the super passion I had was like supporting young people and like helping
Yeah.
them in
Hmm.
school. Like sometimes it felt like I was taking like the maths teaching like as the second part of the job. And like I'd rather
Right.
I remember actually
Wait,
when
were
I
you one of those teachers that you come in, you give like a little life story before the lesson starts and
It's
stuff like
like
that? Yeah. Yeah.
I was just bullshit. Like I'll be telling them, all right, cool, you got a bad mention. I'd never put the bad mention on this. I was that teacher. Like
Yeah.
he's not knew I was bullshit when I say you got a bad
Yeah.
mention. They know I'm not putting it on the system.
Mhm.
But it's like, um, yeah, it's like even when I interviewed for the teaching job, the head teacher was like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I was like, "I want to move into a pastoral role." And she looked at me like, "That's the wrong. You should be telling me you want to be like head of maths or something."
Right.
I was like, "Nah, like, I'd rather like go and try and help the young people, help the."
Hmm.
But yeah, so I always had that conflict of like, I know I'm not going to be a maths teacher for long,
Right.
and similar to what I was saying earlier, Derrick's the one that actually sent me that job ad for the
Right.
content creator for Beyond Borders. Like,
Hmm.
saw her on LinkedIn and like this could be perfect for you. And my story of Football Beyond Borders is a weird one as well. They came to my sixth form back. They started off in 2014. I think
Okay.
I was in like my second year of uni back then. And yeah, that was when they was just starting off. They came and delivered a session. I loved it. They said you can put an application to be mentored by them, but they never got back to me. It was like, oh, it was
Hmm.
one of those things like
Yeah.
whatever. But then
Hmm.
10 years, like pretty much 10 years, close to 10 years later, it's
Hmm.
like I see this application, I see this like opportunity to become a content creator for them. And it's like when when I'm doing the final third, I'm like putting the videos on socials, I'm like editing the videos, I'm like putting them together. And it's like I've kind of got this skill already. Like I've got why can't I apply for this? Why can't I apply for this role?
Hmm.
And um I was like, fuck it. If there's ever a time to make the jump, it's gonna be now. Like I just gotta do it now. So um I applied for it, pulled hella sickies to go and do the interviews for
Yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. With teachers don't get you can't put in no
Yeah.
annual
Yeah.
leave.
There's not annual leave. You just got to be there 5 days a week, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
go. Yeah, no, I can't even come into that sort of vibe and go and do the interview.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, it's like yeah, after that, yeah, it's pretty much coincided with it. Like
Yeah.
my journey in the football industry kind of taking off a little bit and like putting me in some crazy positions to go and do what I loved. I think that's the best thing about Football Beyond Borders. Like it doesn't matter what your passion is, Football Beyond Borders kind of allow you to go and explore that within the framework of Football Beyond Borders. So like these are new like content. In my role as content creator, I told them I want to be a presenter one day, I want to be a host. So they allowed me to like host like a series on our socials. And that gave me like a nice little bit of practice in terms of being
Right.
able to interview young people, being able to interview people. And it was it's we can talk more about football beyond borders, but
Mm.
that's the context of how I got there. Um, and yeah, football beyond borders just honestly, this is the first organization I've ever worked for that's like championed me to go on and be what I want to be, the version of myself that I want to be. Like a lot of organizations I feel like are selfish. If it's not benefiting them and like
Right. So this was more as an investment, like, okay, we're gonna invest in not just
exactly,
you give me something, I give you something type of thing. Yeah.
exactly. But I feel like football beyond borders, like obviously like a lot of it, a lot of what I was doing also helps me in my role in as a content creator and as a content creator and social lead, but they just they sort of went the extra mile to allow me to like explore what makes me happy and explore what is going to improve that side of my life as well.
Yeah. And you say that like pretty much soon right after you kind of take up this role, you're already kind of like seeing all these stars, you're seeing like Pickford and Sterling and you're doing these photo shoots and stuff like that. Did you ever kind of like take a second to pause like shit, like I'm kind of there in a sense, like
That first month, that first month was insane in terms because again, um, I think I saw Sterling, I think I saw that
sort of
Pickford,
chunks as well.
Chunks. I
I
went
think
to
there's a
like
female commentator as well. I can't remember her name. Or football, I can't remember her name now.
I saw Alex Scott as
That's it,
well.
Alex Scott. That's the
Yeah.
one. Mhm.
I was going to like these different events that I'd never been invited to before in my life. And it's just like, it was surreal. Like they put me in some crazy opportunity. And it's just like, but you get there and it's about like, what can I do to like, now what can I do to impact in this space? Or what can I do to like get the content for football beyond borders or like put myself in a position to do further work in this space? And it's like, yeah, that's kind of I kind of got over the it kind of helped maybe that start helped me get over that the fandom and the like starry eyed
Mhm.
the starry eyed thing because then when I'm in that space now then it's like oh shit let's work now let's see what we can do and the first month was nuts it was nuts.
Yeah. And I guess how so about 9 months or so after that, you start transitioning to doing press, right? And you just mentioned that you don't want to do other stuff. So how did you make that transition to okay, I'm making content to okay, I'm gonna ask Southgate some questions now? Like how did you especially because I think one of the first major ones you did was the UCL game. I think it was like Arsenal versus Sevilla, and you did obviously
Yeah,
the England national team. I mean, you met like maybe into like Ollie Watkins and things like that. So obviously this is a huge change going from okay, I'm still make content to okay, no, they trust me to maybe ask a couple questions. And I know, I guess, especially when I guess the equivalent, I guess, for my industry is like music, right? When it comes to the red carpet, you might just see someone walk by, you just want to get a cup, like, oh, do you have like 30 seconds of it? It's a hustle. Sometimes you don't
yeah.
get that, right? So I'm guessing it's mostly quite the same in football. So like in terms of being able to kind of be given that opportunity, is it a thing where they say, okay, you can go to the, I guess, press rank and if you're lucky, you're lucky, or there's like, okay, no, there's a selective slot for football beyond borders. How does Grant or Banks kind of insert himself into this?
So first off that shift that you're talking about where I get to go to like England and go to Emirates, that's
Mhm.
courtesy of BCOMS, the BCOMS program. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I think being working for Football Beyond Borders definitely helped me get onto the BCOMS program because I applied like 2 times before, didn't get it, and then
Yeah. No, let's talk about BCOMs then. Let's start with that because someone else that was on the show, sorry to cut you off. I think you know her, so Moyo Abiona, right, who's also
yeah,
Moyo's laboratory. So she
that
worked with BCOMs, which is British Collectives of Media and Sport, something like that,
yeah,
right? And for her, I think for people who listen to the episode, which is really interesting. You should go back and listen. It's I think they helped her when it went to for the Qatar World Cup. Like I think they covered her travel and stuff like that. So I've been quite aware of this. I never heard of this program before then. I know sometimes people can like apply and like they get it or they don't. I think it's like quite a large ballot and stuff like that. And they take you through like a weekly program and stuff like that. So was this something where you were applying for it whilst you were at FBB? 'Cause I know, especially for like people from minority backgrounds, it seems like things like beacons have been like a super major help. So yeah, let's get into that. Sorry, just for good
yeah.
context.
BCOMS is like I applied for it while I was working for Football Beyond Borders. It's not something that you need to like quit your job to go and do.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It's
that's
like a
kind of where
society type thing, right?
exactly. And
Hmm.
that's where also were proper helpful because like some of the things were happening during work hours and they allowed me to like go to some of the
All right.
BCOMS
Oh,
events.
sick.
And it's just like they were happy for me to go because they know it's supporting my progress. But yeah, they're the ones that put me, BCOMS are the one that put me in like the press room for the England game, the press room for the Arsenal game. And then, nah, it's nothing like, oh, you've got time with Laura Woods, you've got time with
Yeah.
these England players, like
Mhm.
you can go and chat to them. It's literally, as you say, like trying to grab them on the off ski on the fly. Like,
Yeah.
can I get 10 seconds? I just need
Uh,
one answer.
yeah. Mhm.
And like, yeah, you just have to like I did it on the most, yeah. Honestly, I did what was the first one I did? The first one was the England game.
Yes.
And I went to the mixed zone where the England players are walking through. And I managed to get a
Yeah.
couple players.
I think it was like Dunk,
Yeah,
Watkins, and Harvey was one more, but those are the main ones.
Cole as well.
Yeah. Colwell as well.
Oh,
That's the
and
one.
that's literally, yeah, it's literally, I don't know whether it's luck, whether they were just like see a black, because again,
Yeah.
that's the whitest like press room. I don't think it's like I don't think it's gonna be that taboo for me. I think
Yeah,
it's
of
the
course.
whitest. So I put it on my Snapchat that saying that this is the whitest room I've ever been in. Like honestly,
Hmm.
me and Shariah, like I think you probably know Shariah,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
I'll say next to her. I don't know. I think that might have been a race thing as well. Let me not say it to you. I was literally sitting next to her. Like we were the only two black people in
Yeah.
the whole thing. And it's just like this is like the widest room ever. So like I
Mhm.
don't know whether they saw me and it's like, oh, it's like this is a bit different. Like you don't usually get this in
Mhm.
the press area.
Mhm.
And they came to speak to me. And it's like, but yeah, that was again surreal being able to like because they are in those mixed areas, the players do not want to stop. Like
Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
the players do not want to stop. So you literally have to like try and present something that just. I told Ollie Watkins, bro, you'll love this question. I asked him a question about FPL because he was blanking to start the season.
Yeah.
Then no way he's on fire. And
Mhm.
I knew he'd like this question. So I was like, bro, you're gonna like this question, trust me. Ended up giving me a decent answer. So it's like one of those things where you just have to like be proper adaptable in those spaces. And then yeah, the Arsenal one, the first Arsenal one where I got to interview Laura Woods, is
Yeah.
like I went down to after the game, like I went back down to like pitch side, and I was just hanging around like on a like because
Oh,
they
so
were
it wasn't
finished.
even planned.
Wasn't planned at
Oh
all.
my gosh.
Wasn't planned at
Yeah.
all.
Okay.
I was just like hanging around. Shout out JD Dyer as well because he was
Mhm.
working for TNT
Okay.
Sport back then. Um, and I literally just went to go like hail him up, chat to him for a little bit. But I saw them like finishing up, and I was just like, can I? Can I? Yeah,
Uh,
everything's just turning, and it's just like they finish up the thing, and I just walk up to her like on a quick thing, like, oh, I really love you lot's work. Is it cool if I grab a quick interview? And she was like proper calm about it. Like, can I?
yeah, she was
And
super friendly. She was super friendly.
microphone went
Yeah.
on. The microphone went on, but I needed to put this shit into existence.
Right.
So I asked,
Yeah.
can I use the microphone as well? Like,
Oh my God.
bro,
This
the
is
microphone
crazy.
went on. There's no microphone in that microphone, bro. I just needed it I needed it
Oh
for the
my God.
records. I
That's
needed it
so
for the
funny.
records. So
Oh,
I was like, can I use it? Like, yeah. And then, yeah, got that interview quick. I like, honestly, it was all done in that like 30-second spot. I was trying to think of the questions on the fly to ask her. Because like, again, I didn't plan to like interview her, but now that I've got the opportunity, I understood that I can't waste this. Like, I need to be able to, like, I need to think of something. I need to come up with an answer or come up with a question that she's gonna be able to answer well. And yeah, it worked out, and then
that's an insane story. But again, for those who don't know, so obviously, like if you like go on Banks' Instagram, you can go and see if you scroll down further enough, right? But what's so crazy about this is because also you have like the lanyard and like your press, right? As you say, and like it's just so crazy to think that wait, no, this is your bike. I'm not even meant to be here. I'm
yeah,
kind of
bro,
taking
I'm
the
not
lead. And bro, it's
the
the
security
Champions League. Like for fuck's sake, it's the Champions League.
security were looking at me like, why is this guy climbing over the thing?
Oh
I was
my
just like,
gosh.
bro, nothing was planned, nothing was patterned. It's literally just on a Bro,
Mm.
if you let me get this opportunity, I will waste it. I promise. I promise I won't waste it. I promise. It's one of them things, bro. It's
Yeah,
literally,
and it went well because even after, I mean, she hugged you and all that stuff. Like she was super happy to. She was super friendly to do the interview as well. That's an insane story, man. Fuck hell.
yeah, nah, literally, that's the thing with Biko, like, Biko's gonna put you in some sit position.
Hmm.
It's just about, are you gonna like take advantage of it? Are you gonna like make the most of it? It's not always like, you're not always gonna get a sick interview like that,
Of course.
or you're not always going to get a chance to interview a, a famous person or like a talent, but
Mhm.
you still have to like you can't just leave there like, oh yeah, I experienced the Emirates, I experienced like a Champions
Yeah,
League.
yeah,
You need to leave there with something. Like it could be any, like the first time, regardless of if I spoke to anyone in a mid zone, I knew I was gonna put together like a day in the life vlog. I was gonna like, yeah,
right,
kind of
yeah.
vlog my experience. Luckily, the England player speaking to me was like the cherry on top. But you just have to go there knowing you're doing, like, you're getting something out of that.
Of course. Yeah, I think you had experience that before. I think because you went to Selhurst Park like early on in that year as well, doing the
Yeah.
come with me and all that stuff.
That was
So
literally,
yeah,
I just bought a ticket for that.
yeah,
I just, yeah,
exactly. Hmm.
but exactly the same vibe. Like
Hmm.
I think that was my first time going to Selhurst Park. So I was like, I have to vlog this, and yeah, it's the same, like same vibe. You get put in a new situation, bro. Make the most of it.
Of course. And when you interviewed Laura Woods, was that the same night that you had the presser where you got to speak to Arteta and ask him about Saka? Okay, so this is a crazy night for you. It's like the biggest win.
Hey, again, it's one of the, and obviously the England match came first, and I was in that press conference with Gareth Southgate as well, but um I didn't know what. So it was kind of like I was sitting at the back. I was like moving mad shy with putting my hand up. I had a question. It was like honestly, the looking back and I'm so pissed off I didn't speak to him. It was like the question was gonna be, because this Rashford score was on his like 49th cap scored, and it was coming up to Euro 2024. And I was like, obviously Rashford was like a very late inclusion in the 2016
Yeah.
Euro squad. Like, do you think there's space for like an unknown player, a player that hasn't been called up to make it into your squad? And lo and
Um,
behold, Kobe Mainu, obviously, like the next like couple months takes the world by
hmm.
storm and
Hmm.
makes it into the England squad. So I would have been a perfect like little call, but
Hmm.
I didn't know how it worked. I was like
Right.
sitting at the back. I didn't put my hand up really. I like shy with it.
Yeah, how
So
does it work? Is it just you have to put your hand up or people like, okay, no, you, like how does it go?
So there's a lot of journalists, like there's a press officer that I'll pick who's going to ask a question. Press officer obviously knows a lot of the journalists
Yeah, of
already. So
course. Yeah.
like they'll go like, all right, Ben, I'm going to start off with Ben. You da 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 da. But obviously there's other press journalists there that the press officer don't know. You just got to stick your hand up,
Yeah.
sit at the front, make that eye contact with it and said, brother, you're leaving this room without letting me ask this question. Like that's genuinely how you have to be. Like if you're not assertive, if you're not like constantly like hand up, hand up, hand up, it's so easy for them to just like bypass you and like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
Arteta's gone.
Hmm.
You literally have to like. That's the mistake I made with Gareth Southgate. Like I was like
Right.
moving.
Okay.
Whether I thought he'd be there forever and like he'd just be able like wait for me to like be a serve and ask my question, but yeah, it didn't work. Like I didn't get to ask my question that day. So when I was in a press conference, as much as I was sweating, as much as I was nervous, I was like, bro, you're sitting at the front, you're making eye contact with this press officer, and you're going to ask this question, and
Yeah.
it like yeah, and it's happened to me every time since. As soon as I get picked to ask the question, for like a second and a half, I forget the question. And it's like, oh shit, it's me.
Yeah, yeah, because
Uh,
like it's on you. It's like, okay, go on then, like say what you want
yeah,
to say.
so
Yeah,
and I forget the question for like a second and a half. I have to compose myself and I ask the question. That's why more time, like I feel like every time I've asked a question, like there's like maybe 3 seconds of waffle. That's just me trying to compose myself, trying to get like, okay, cool, get the flow back in, get ready to ask the question. So yeah, that's how it works. And yeah, that's you just have to, bro, eye contact, hand up, do not take no for an answer.
yeah. And so where we at now with the story of Banks, right? So let's say we take the first kind of, let's say 2016 to like 2020. That's like, the rapping these mixtape era, he's kind of finding these bearings, all that stuff. And then from like, let's say 2021 or so, he's signed, but he's not on a major label, he's there, right? And then that's like 2021 to 2023. Mate, if we look at 2024, this has to be like the first commercial kind of big break, right? This is like one of the busiest years, like in terms of like people I've like interviewed. That's been one of the busiest years I've kind of had to cover for someone, right? Because it feels like now, like this isn't more, oh, I wish this happened. It's like it's happening. Like it probably happening so much you probably even like forgetting shit. This is just
Yeah.
happening, right? And obviously it's a mixture of BCOMS, a mixture of FPB. It's also a mixture of working with ITV as well. So. I want to start with, I guess in particular, working with, I guess, because you said you want to work with kids, right? And one of the major things you did, if you were part of the Premier League Kids Cup, right? So that was I think that was earlier on in that year. Talk to me about it. This is initially I didn't really know much about. Did it kind of feel like, okay, actually I kind of worked it out in the end in terms of being able to work with young people, and it's in a field that I love.
Yeah, honestly, I think when shout out BCOMS again because they were like a big part of like me getting that role. Um, but I think they saw like my background and working with Football Beyond Borders, working as a teacher, and like the Kicks Cup isn't necessarily like it's one of those football tournaments where it's about the football, but it's mainly about like developing young
Oh, so yeah.
people as like into like stand up young parts of society, and like you can't it's easy for like a host to get lost in that and just like big up all the footballers like because there's some you're working with like hella teams across the country like the from Manchester United all the way down to like Carlisle and
Yeah.
like like it's a whole bunch of different teams
Mm.
and there's range in abilities but the main thing like you're trying to develop their like so it's called social emotional learning or social like it's their ability to like work as a team ability to like cooperate and all of those sort of skills. And I think they saw kind of saw that that's the area that I've been working in. Like that's a lot of what we do at Football Beyond Borders as a teacher. It's naturally what you have to do in your classes and everything. So yeah, I think it was one of those like um perfect storms where everything in my life at that point, like the fact that I was like presenting and seeing all the stuff I was doing with BCOMS and all of the stuff I do and work with young people, and it's like it's one of those perfect storms. Everything came together, and it's like, all right, now you've got the chance to like do this for the Premier League charitable fund, but it's
So,
The Premier League. It's like
100%, yeah.
it's probably to that date it was the like, probably the biggest one that I've done and like the biggest opportunity I had. So like was kind of drawing from all the different parts of my life, all the different like skills I developed over the years to yeah, kind of bring that to fruition.
Mhm. And similar with when what you worked with JD Football, I think towards the earlier part of that year, it was like February or so, when I think you went back to the classroom and you're working with some of the kids. I think it was
Oh
with Football Beyond Borders as well, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what talk to me more that was that kind of like a similar initiative where it's kind of like, yeah,
And so
and
that one was different. That was one of our biggest like link ups with Football Beyond Borders link ups with JD,
yeah,
where obviously you got everyone knows back in secondary school, you got your JD, you buy a
yep,
pair of shoes, you got your JD bag. That's
yep,
gonna be the school bag basically until it rips.
yes.
Until that thing rips, you're utilizing it. But we linked up with JD to basically create our own version of that JD bag exclusive to
Right,
like the young people that are on the FBB program. And
right,
like we were
okay.
going around to the different schools to deliver that to yeah, deliver that to the young people. They get exclusively got it. Like you couldn't go into a shop and get that JD bag.
Mm,
So it's like capturing that moment. It's such a like again, everyone knows the history of the JD bag. Like to
100%.
have FBB's own special version of that, like it was such a like big moment in our history that we wanted to go around to some of the schools and commemorate that moment and yeah, sort of create that moment.
So I'll take a pause from football for now, right? Because obviously your last year doesn't really kind of start off with that, right? You kind of go more into venture into different sports. I think you do like indoor athletics and things like that, right? So my question for you with that was it a thing where because you're in this position now where you're starting to get opportunities, like you're in rooms that you never thought you would be, like you're doing jokes with Saka and all that stuff, right? But like, is it a thing where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like basically any opportunity that comes to you, I'm just gonna like grab it by the horns, like doesn't really matter. Like it'll keep me in the space, even if it's not experience directly to football, it will help me within football in the future? Or was it just kind of like a general open-mindedness, like, okay, right, like maybe I don't know that much about athletics or basketball, I'm just gonna do it anyways. Was it kind of that thought to it? Yeah, talk more about that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the second one. It's like
Hmm.
I with BCOMS, if you ask more time, they're gonna provide. And it's
Hmm.
like I was talking to Andrew DeSille, shout out Andrew, and Jack Badu,
Hmm.
shout out Jack, about like the indoor athletics in Birmingham. And I was just like, because obviously BCOMS is split into North and South. So
Yeah,
like a lot of the Birmingham, like Manchester ones are offered to the like North cohort.
yeah,
A lot of the
yeah.
London stuff offered to the South cohort. But we were just speaking about indoor athletics, and I was just like, because again, it was kind of that thing where it's like, while I'm on this program, it's a program is a year long. I want to try and experience as much as possible in the sporting space. Like, I don't care if it's like, I went to the like British cycling. Like, I'm
Yes.
gonna try everything. I'm
Yeah.
gonna like try and go to everything. So it was one of those ones where like in indoor athletics. It's the British end. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna like again, and it kind of links back to what we were saying, where even in athletics, I'm not here to say I know the most about athletics and I've
Of
got the
course, yeah, yeah.
amount of
Hmm.
athletics, but
Hmm.
there's stories to these athletes that, and there's like
Yeah.
content with these athletes that can be made even away from the track, and I knew I could get that done. So it was one of those ones where like I get the opportunity, I'm definitely gonna go for it.
100%. And I think what you just said there, in terms of you not knowing what, but they have stories, I think that's where a lot of people kind of struggle when it comes to their content creation journey. So I'll use my example of music, right? So in terms of like hip hop artists, especially in the UK, a lot of people kind of come in and they have like five artists that they really love. Like, oh, I love Skepta, I love J Hus, I love Dave, whatever. And then they'll make content pretty much just on these three artists. I mean, what happens is they kind of run out of things to say because, like, oh, I actually kind of came into this. I like they come into it thinking, oh, I thought I was a music head, but really I've just like the artist that I like. And they never kind of give time to, oh, who's the up and comer past Salute who's coming up, or who's this guy? And then because it's the thing of they don't immediately like their music, they forget the story behind it. It's like, oh no, their story is still kind of crazy. And you could be that person to cover that. Or you might find out something about their story, like, oh, like there was one woman called Hannah, right? And she's like, she used to do like piano for like these massive artists like Rihanna and stuff like that. And her story is literally she needed a piano for an event. She called Yamaha and they're like, oh, cool, we'll just give you one for free, just like that, right? And yeah, it's crazy, right? And it's just stuff like that that you would never hear because this person is not a vocal artist. She's not on any billboards, right? But her story is interesting in that sense. And I think people forget that with other athletes, especially athletes, right? I think Trent has that famous interview where it's kind of like it's I'm more likely to win the lottery to be a footballer, right? But then, so every athlete you're kind of interviewing, it's like they've won the lottery. So their story
Right.
is insane. And I
Yeah.
think people kind of miss that. It's like sometimes go out your way to, oh, I don't know this person's story that much, but I'm gonna look into it and maybe I'll be blown away. Like, oh, wow, maybe they've gone through this hardship or they came from this country or whatever type of influence that they have. Do you know what I mean? For
Yeah,
sure.
that's it. Like, a lot of people wouldn't know like the what was it? I think it was like pretty much summer of 2022. Like I basically used that summer to follow around a non-league team called Waltham Abbey
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
track their journey, create content around their journey, interview their players and things like that. And it's just like those like and again, that was probably one of my favorite 3 months creating content. Like and there's so many, as you said, there's so many stories within you because it's Waltham Abbey and it's like a non-league club. You think, oh, people don't care or like who's gonna watch this? But that's literally how I got most of my like most of the views on that page
Mhm.
come from the Waltham because you can just create a subsection of people that care. Like nobody knew they cared about Waltham Abbey or their players until the content's there.
Exactly
Like no,
that.
like
Yeah.
I didn't know I cared about this until I went and spoke to that.
Yeah.
You just like there's so much to explore. And if you just like wait, if you're just there waiting for an interview with Saka or interview with Sterling or whatever, you're gonna be wait like you might eventually get it, but it's not gonna be any base to it because you're not versed in that trying to dig stories out, like understand what you're looking for. If you don't get that experience in the field first, you can find that experience that every like, it's one I guess like not so many people, but I get
Mhm.
quite a lot of
Mhm.
people in my DMs nowadays, like how do I
Yeah.
get on this journey? How do I start the
Yeah.
journey and everything? And all I can tell you is, bro, you just start. Like, I don't know where you're gonna, I can't tell you where to start. I don't know what, but you got to go and look for the stories. You got to go and like get started yourself. Like, don't wait for that magical moment where you're gonna like interview the biggest football player in the world. Like, start with what's around you. Like, what was it? Issa Rae said like network
The
across
sideways.
down,
Exactly
get
that.
started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much around you that you can like use to your benefit to like help you get on that ladder and help you get started. If you like, if you're willing to put in those hours and do that grind, then it's perfect. But if not, you're just going to be like kind of waiting for that moment. And that moment might come. It might come. Like, I can't say it won't come, but I promise you, you're not even going to enjoy the waiting around process as much as you would enjoy
Yes.
getting out there and doing like actually putting in the work.
100%. And what you said about you saying yourself, you didn't know you needed that Wolf from Abby content. I think that's a perfect kind of like story for fans, right? 'Cause I think a lot of people come in and they're thinking of and one thing I really hate that people do is when people say, "Oh, okay, what content do you want us to make, guys?" And da, 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 because people don't always necessarily even know what they want to hear. Like, you'd be so surprised because people say, "Oh yeah, I want you to do sack interviews. I want to get from the biggest artists," and then you get they actually maybe they have like 2 minutes. It's like, oh, that's not what I wanted
Yeah,
anyways, right? Whereas that guy who maybe you don't know him, but he's like, oh, he lives down the street from where I used to live, or oh, like he's from the same country I am, or something like that, right? Or he went to the same school I went to, and then you realize, okay, you get attracted to that story, and you forget that the other things that you're requesting because actually you're here now. The food that you have, right? It's like fine. I don't need the jollof rice. I've got the fried rice here. Like I'm all good.
that's it.
Do you know
That's
what I
it.
mean?
It's like the manager. So Michael Spencer, who was the manager of
Mhm.
Waltham Abbey, I only knew him because he was on a podcast of somebody else that I knew. Obviously, I shout him because again during lockdown there was that period where everyone was just doing interviews, and like I thought, let me shout. This is an actual manager. Like, he done his badges. Like, I've been following. Like, I've been kind of tracking his team's progress a little bit, but if I do the research first, I can get a proper good like. I think he spoke for like an hour and a half about his journey
Yeah,
in football, him becoming a coach, where he wants to go. Like, if you do the research, you can turn anything into like a passion project and turn anything into
for sure.
like content gold. And that's the only reason I was able to then go and do the content at Wolfram Abbey, because I've already made the connection with Michael Spencer, and he was like, "Yeah, we've done great work before. Let's come in and you can come in and like do the content." So like, yeah, bro, you've honestly, there's so much around you if you're willing to like take the time and like look and actually figure out, all right, this is where I'm gonna. And that's and the annoying thing is you might get it wrong first off.
Of course, yeah.
There's nothing. There's just like you generally just have to be okay with, like, you just have to learn to be okay with it and then pivot and figure out, okay, what's right, and if that was wrong, what's right. Once you can figure that out, it changes everything.
No, for sure. In terms of the non-football content you've covered in 2024, right? So you even did fucking NFL when they came down to Wembley. You done the tracks. You did I think you did the British basketball championships as well. What was your favorite moment during that time period?
Ooh, the non-football. I think it might have been All-Star game for British Basketball League, you know. That was such a fun
I think
moment.
that's the one that Obi was at or something like that, right? Yeah.
Obi was there. It was honestly, again, I wasn't the biggest purveyor of like British Basketball League. Like, I knew a little bit, but not a lot. But again, you do your research beforehand. You get given the opportunity. You do your research, and you find out the stories like Matt Morgan, like was it no Cornell's like all-time top scorer, played for the London Lions,
Mhm.
3 point like god, like in terms of being able to put the ball in the bucket from the 3 point line. Like, he was too clean. And then you look at his story, like he faced off against Victor Wembanyama when he played in France.
Yeah.
And he's did training camp with the Raptors, and it's like, this person, like, if I didn't do the research, if I didn't do the work, I would have never known, and I would have came to him with some basic questions. How was
Exactly.
the start game? Like,
Yeah.
all of this. So it's like, yeah, I think that's one of those ones where like I got given the opportunity, and once I did the research, it kind of just affirms, bro, if you do this work, if you like actually put the hours in and do the research, like it kind of affirms that thing where there's opportunity and there's like stories to tell always in whatever you're doing. So yeah, I'd probably say it's that again, meeting Jeremiah Azu
Mm.
again, like he's had an amazing 2025. Shout out Jeremiah. And again, I think asking him that question about being an Olympian, probably one of my best questions, one of my favorite questions. Like, yeah, that was an amazing moment as well. Like, amazing, he's an amazing person.
Bro. So like you said, the BCOMS kind of initiative is 1 year, right? So within this year, obviously most of it kind of covers most of 2024, but there's kind of like an overlap happening. So obviously with BCOMS, you're also kind of slowly getting into that ITV football kind of bucket, right? And obviously during this time, yeah, you're getting habituated to kind of work within the industry and finding your bearings. But this is now it's like, okay, no shit, things are starting to take a whole different kind of leap now because now your face is on the ITV football IG, right? That's a whole different responsibility. And now you're getting time with people who you don't find them, right? You're not going to get time with them, right? So now it's like you're there, you're kind of, speaking to real fans, and then now you talk to a lot of all the big wigs, right? Because even with the NFL stuff, right? The NFL don't really come here; they come like once a year, and the American football is becoming a thing. You're there to speak to the head coach of the Vikings, like that's just like some people in America don't even get that, right? So with this transition to kind of being ITV football, and I guess now also we'll talk about your 2025. Like, how did you kind of handle that transition? I think one of the things, and the way I'll ask this in a more better way is this, right? So one of your things that you wrote about years ago was not years, I think it was might have been this year, right? In terms of Pep, in terms of like players' mentality.
Yeah.
And he wants to kind of have players who have the right mentality. And some of them might go off to kind of be the guy, or sometimes he might need a bit of that before they kind of even sign the player, right? How does Banks kind of prepare his mentality? What's his kind of thing? What does Banks do to kind of get himself ready for, okay, I'm gonna try and make this like a moment for myself, or how do I kind of psych myself up? But yeah, what and in terms of, and the second part to that is in terms of like having mentality to kind of take this as far as you could, what do you feel like you need to kind of set up to do that?
Um, the first bit is pretty much like getting rid of the imposter syndrome completely. Like, I feel like around when I first started getting some sick opportunities, like, yeah, maybe like that first England game, I still had a little bit of imposter syndrome, like, what, rah, I'm actually here. Like, those opportunities with FBB to start off with, like, rah, one, like, I'm at, but you need, like, generally getting rid of imposter syndrome will generally, it clears your mind out a lot because a lot of what you're doing is what you've done before. Like, there's nothing much different that I'm doing now where I'm interviewing fans, I'm interviewing like Roy Keane or Ian Wright. Like, I've done it before. Now it's just about like, okay, you've taken away the stardom of the two. Like,
Yeah.
getting to be around them a little bit more. They're like lovely people, normal people,
Hmm.
mad normal. So
Hmm.
it's like, what are you still hung up about? Like, how are
Right.
you still
Yeah.
gonna let this,
Hmm.
like, how are you still gonna let their name and their like stardom hinder what you're doing? Because their stardom's not hindering what they're doing. Like, they're not
That's a
like
good
in
point.
their,
Yeah.
because they're thinking about, oh, how's Ian Wright? They still do their thing. So how are you gonna let you, who's like, again, not a bigger star, Roy Keane or Ian Wright, like, how are you gonna let it hinder what you're gonna do? So getting rid of that imposter syndrome, it clears your mind out a lot, and it just lets you understand, bro. I'm meant to be doing, like, again. I've had so many people speak positivity into this journey of mine since I started way back in 2016, 17, whatever. And it's like, you understand, I like, not no cocky stuff, but like, I'm built for this now. Like, I always wanted to be here, and now I'm here. I'm not even fully where I want to be, but I'm definitely like at a stage where it's like, you're built for this, and you can do this. So let's not mess it up overthinking it. So it's generally is imposter syndrome is, honestly, once you get rid of imposter syndrome, for me, it's like it opens up everything, and it opens up so many pathways for you to like improve your stuff. And then the second part, you said where I want to take it essentially, and how.
Yeah, exactly. So like, well, how do you kind of what things you put in place in terms of like having the mentality to kind of take it to that next level, or the equivalent of like like a Premier League great or a champion or stuff like that? How does Banks kind of keep his name keep continually growing in the space?
I think like trying not to get caught up in like yeah, where I'm at right now. Because
Yeah.
when you climb Mount Everest, like every part looks like the peakest part until you look up and you realize like, oh shit, there's still way more to climb.
Yeah.
You can be happy and you can be satisfied with like where you're at now. But if you know like there's still so much more to do, there's still so much more to achieve, you're still gonna look up and be like, all right, cool, I need to continue the journey. So like it feels like it feels so weird. Not weird, like I'm mad grateful for it, but
Of course.
like so many people like shout me out and like congratulate me on like what I'm doing, and it feels amazing. But I also like it's kind of like I know I still got more to do, and not no cocky shit, but like I know there's still more congratulations to give.
Of
So it's
course.
like
Yeah.
still just gotta like yeah, kind of take that in my stride and just continue like try and continue on that journey.
Of course. And I guess now in a post BCOMS era, what does kind of Banks's kind of world look like? Obviously, I know you're still in 2025. I can keep going on about the presses of this person, that person, but at this point, it's kind of normal for you, right? So I think for you, it's like what is I guess a freelance world for Banks? Like, is it kind of primarily doing engagements with the big channels like ITV? Yeah, expand more on that.
I wouldn't just like X myself off to just like the big broadcasters because
Yeah, yeah, of
like
course.
there's still so much like there's still so much like that I want to explore in bare different facets. Like the freelancer thing is so interesting because like you'll go through. I remember after I did Premier League Kicks Cup and I did another thing for Premier League as well.
The uncut, right? The Danny Welbeck stuff.
No, that was
Oh,
later on. I did
oh, right. Oh, I
uh
think I know you're talking about sorry, I haven't oh gosh. It was fuck.
like
It's
Premier
somewhere.
League. It was basically another cup where I
Yeah,
needed to
yeah,
host
yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't find it now. Oh, the Next Generation Cup, of course. Yeah,
Generation
yeah,
Cup,
yeah.
Premier League Next Generation Cup
Yeah.
in July,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like get those two opportunities back to back. It's like rah, everything's looking rosy for Banks, like. Rah. But then
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
then September, August is like mad quiet.
Mhm,
September, October, I think it was August, September, October. Like
mhm,
in terms of like those freelance opportunities, mad quiet, and it's like raw. Everything just went flat like that.
mhm.
Like the freelance thing is like it's such a like
It's up and
it's
down, right?
up and down. Like you generally just have to keep if you don't keep yourself even keeled and level headed, like the thing it'll throw you off. So it's like you're always like trying to put yourself out there. And I even need to do that more. But I'm like, yeah, like popping up to people, like the things I see on LinkedIn, trying to get opportunities through there. But you just have to like it's just about keeping yourself even keeled with that because yeah, the maddest opportunity that and that's the nasty thing about this side of the game as well, because people will shout you like, yeah, I want you to do this, this, and this. And
Yeah.
then it's like, right,
Yeah,
I,
yeah, no, I've been there. That happens all the
I was
time.
spending that money already, brother. I was
Hmm.
spending that money already. I
Hmm.
bought the Canada Goose in advance. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
you owe me bread, brother. So
yeah,
it's one of them ones where it's just
yeah.
like keep yourself as evenly killed as possible. Like keep yourself
100%.
active. Like keep yourself yeah engaged in like again because if you try and I think this is like my thinking as well, where if you just try and always work with the big broadcasters as well, you're taking yourself out of so much culture as well, so much that's happening on the grassroots. And if you do that, it's kind of one where like when it's time for you to tap back into the big broadcaster, you're trying to bring that authentic self. It's kind of like you don't have nothing to talk.
You're a
You
bit
won't have any
disconnected, right? Because you're not close to the grassroots and
back,
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah,
back end. Like if I where I want to take it, like I always want to try and bridge both of them and like show that like you can give yourself to both sides of it. So
sure.
yeah, it's about like keeping yourself connected to culture as much as possible while trying to like take it to a new level that you haven't been to before.
Of course. And I mentioned that briefly in terms of working with the Premier League on Cup. I think it was Danny Welbeck's episode. This is an insane opportunity in itself because this is more kind of working behind the camera and kind of doing more behind the scenes. Talk more about, I guess, your involvement within that. Because obviously this is something that now, like for example, if I go on, I think was it Netflix or Prime? I can't remember what platform it was. But obviously now this is something that's gonna live forever, and you can say, yeah, like my name's in that. So yeah, kind of talk about your involvement in that and kind of how that come about.
Yeah, again, I feel like I'm gonna just spend this whole
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
shouting. Honestly, I can't.
Mm.
I can't like speak like more passionately about what BCOMS did to
Of
like
course, yeah.
in certain rooms and give me those opportunities. Like, because again, I was always confident in my ability to do all of these things, but
Mm-hmm.
where we're from to be put in a room is basically impossible.
100%, yeah.
You can like what you like as much as you want to do everything, like you still need that leg up. You still need somebody to help you get into the room. And after that, it's about like keeping yourself there and like doing everything you can to like get more of those opportunities. But you still need that sort of that one push. So I always shout out BCOMs for doing that for black people, like minorities, even
100%.
yeah, people from different backgrounds, putting them in those rooms that they wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
able to put in. But yeah, we switched with Premier League on cut. Shout out Switched On Productions. They brought me on for the episode again. I expressed that because again, the I'd love to be able to do the interviews and like present for them, but again, I'd never, that was a whole sit down, like production, the lights, the cameras, like that's the first time I'd been involved
Mm-hmm.
in like a production like that. So it's something I needed to see first. So it was
Right.
like, it was amazing to be like brought on to like kind of observe, help out behind the scenes
Right.
and
Okay.
see how the presenters sort of like get ready, see how the presenters prepare for the interview. So yeah, there was like a great opportunity to like be behind the scenes and see all of that.
Nice. Nice. I guess kind of coming to where we are now, also we kind of moved on to 2025. And I think you've shouted out BCOMs a lot. Obviously, in terms of a lot of work you've done has been by grace of kind of BCOMs kind of giving you an opportunity to say, okay, go on, go for it, do what you want to do. Obviously, you started off as someone who was working in escape rooms, you've done the bartending, did a bit of teaching assistant, you were a teacher assistant, then became a teacher. Obviously, COVID kind of fucked up the whole kind of operations gig. Is it an understatement to say BCOMs has changed your life?
Nah, I don't think so.
Mm.
I don't think so. Again, like it's the sort of things we like when we've made the final third and when I'm like writing those articles, like you're always wondering like how do you take that next step and how do you like get in those rooms. I remember watching one of my boys was on BCOMs like the year before and like I just saw him at a Chelsea game and I was just like, what? Like in the press room and everything and like,
Yeah.
huh? What's going on? Like,
Yeah.
how let me
Mhm.
involve, can I get a touch? Can I get a touch?
Yeah.
Like, bruh, you don't like you genuinely don't like you don't see that. And like for them to be able to like do that multiple times with multiple young people, multiple like people from different backgrounds that just flat out would not get that opportunity. As I said, the Wembley like press room was the whitest room I've ever seen. And it's like for me to be there, that's a testament to how BCOMs are trying to break down those sort of barriers and are trying to like change the outlook of what media looks like. Because again, like this is not me being big headed, but I
Oh,
feel
so,
like when I was in that um when I was at Wembley, the mix zone, I was one of the few people that's not trying to like get a like standard quote out of them. Like I
right.
don't work
Yeah.
for the newspaper. I don't need to provide a quote for my editor that's going to be in the paper
Of
tomorrow.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ask them anything that I'm interested in, and like, or that's going to interest them. Like, because the reason they don't like, they're nobody like they don't really want to like, have to unless you scored or unless you've like performed mad well. They don't really want to have to give a standard like
Mhm.
whatever quote that's gonna get lost in like the noise in a day and or day or not even a day, 12 hours. So it's like, can I give them something that they can actually like that'll make them smile in that moment at least, or at least make them like that they'd at least enjoy in that moment. So it's
Yeah.
like or like BCOMs brings people that want to change and want to do something different in the media space that don't just want to ask the same questions. Like and there's so many other talented people on the BCOMS program that I've had the pleasure of meeting and I've had the pleasure of
Oh,
working with. So it's like it puts me like being able to create that sort of connection with them as well has been special.
right. So to kind of wrap up this guy, I've got like about two more questions. So the first one being, obviously now you've kind of done all assets of kind of, I guess, football content creation. So you've done some hosting, you've done interviewing, you've done the press, right? Is there an area within, let's say, football specifically, that you haven't touched on that you would like to touch on?
Ooh. It's a good question. So I've done presenting, done hosting, interviewing. I think probably the deeper the more detailed interviews is something I'd love to like explore more. Like that sit down conversation with as I said, like it, now it naturally seems like it has to be like Premier League football, the biggest footballers, but nah, even just like it could genuinely be anyone. Maybe it's something I explore a little bit more going forward, like, but being able to sit down and get myself back in that bag of like being able to research, understand who I'm talking to, and like get that conversation going. It's definitely something I want to do more of. I think I want to do a lot more fun content as well. Like there's so like again, the face of content has changed a lot, and it's like those opportunities to like create fun content with footballers and bring that side out of them as well. It's like
Right, of course.
it's amazing to see, and it's what people want to see as well. Like as much as like traditional media want to paint like a lot of young footballers, especially a lot of young black footballers, a certain way. Like
Yeah.
there's a special energy and a special spirit that they have that again, they're not just gonna. It's hard. They have to be so protective of their image. They're not just gonna bring it out, or it's hard for them to show it. But yeah, for a lot of them, especially behind the scenes, or like you see how they are, and you're just like, it'll be amazing to show it. It'll be amazing to show it.
Yeah. So instead of saying like what's coming up next, especially because in the world where you're freelance, and you might not even know what's coming up next, or when it's happening, right? So I won't word it like this, because I think I made that same mistake before. But what I'll say with this, right, to kind of close this out is, instead of doing that, what is Banks interested in right now within your space? What are you interested in?
Oh man, I'm still in that bag of like I'm willing to explore every different sport. That I think I think last year was probably my best in terms of like exploring different sports, obviously the athletics, cycling, NFL, basketball, all of it. So I think I want to get back into that bag. Like I love NBA. I went to Paris to like
For the Paris
watch
Games, right? Earlier this year, right? Yeah, yeah.
content for that. I want to get back into like yeah. I've never really done like NBA content. I think I want to just like get on podcasts and like talk NBA because I'm a casual, but I'm a casual that knows some stuff, man.
Yeah.
So I want to talk. I want to like, yeah,
Mm.
talk NBA. Find the right platform to talk NBA. NFL, like I picked that up for the first time pretty much last year. I like, yeah, I love it now. Again, casual. I'm
Well,
even more casual than NBA, but
yeah, I'm with you on that as well. So, yeah.
like honestly, it's like such an amazing sport. I want to get into that a bit more. Um, And then obviously the first love football, like continue exploring my avenues in there, like trying to make it to I think I told the BCOMS program I want to be presenting at the 2026 World Cup. So I got about a year, maybe probably a bit less to make that happen. So keep working towards that.
Well, fingers crossed. At the end of this interview, do you have any final words? Is there anyone you want to shout out or say hello to?
Um Shout out FBB, shout out everyone there. Shout out BCOMS, shout out the 2023-24 cohort, you lot in my heart. Um, Shout out the Mandem, shout out AF, love you lot. Uh, Shout out Ricky, shout out Jenny, two slapheads, love them both. Uh, yeah, man, shout out the Mandem. That's all I got, man. That's all I got.